of March, maybe it's the 24th of March, I don't even know, but it's a bright and sunny day here in Carlow, and I am out walking my dog in my high-vis, and I am going to talk to you about the SET Allocations Day, which is now an annual celebration of principals becoming really, really stressed, teachers becoming quite anxious about whether they'll have a job next year, and it all falls on one morning, one day, with people scurrying around looking for matches like Liston Varna with the magic 25-hour number. This live video is going to be cut up into small little segments, because what I want to do is I want to talk to you about how this came about. I want to talk to you about why we allow it to happen, and I also want to give you some, words of wisdom is not the word, because they're not words of wisdom, they're words of anger, but I'll give you some advice, I guess, of what you might be able to do on this glorious day in the world of principalship. I would say probably one of the worst days on the calendar for anyone who's a school principal. It's mad. Over the last week or two, we've been waiting for the day to happen. This year, it's not a surprise. I think last time we had the SET allocations, they popped up unexpectedly. We were given no warning. Today, it's about the stakeholders have been told it's on today. We don't know what time. Someone's going to hit a magic button, and all of a sudden, every school in the country is going to get their SET allocations. Now, it's not just SET allocations that people will be getting. I better share some good news, I suppose, and then some, just news, not good or bad. Basically, good news is that the DESH Plus scheme, which has been campaigned for by Conor McCarthy in Tallaght Community National School for the last 10 years, remember his name, he is the man who is responsible for it, not the stakeholders who will come along and say they did anything about it. So congratulations to Conor on all your campaigning, and DESH Plus is coming to our schools this year, and that will be announced today at 9 o'clock, and the full list of schools in that 121 schools will be told their DESH Plus allocation. As well as that, apart from SET allocations given, the staffing schedule comes out. So we will find out as well whether there will be how many teachers in total schools will be getting, and maybe there'll be a surprise that we'll have a pupil-teacher ratio decreased by 1. That's not going to happen. We would have known about that if it was, because the INTO would have been telling us for months how great they were. But anyway, enough of that. Today is really all about the cluster games. If you're a principal, really, the cluster games, just for those of you who don't know and weren't there at the time, was the term coined, and basically it was because what happens today is every school in the country gets their SET allocations. That is a number of hours that they get per week to hire support teachers. And back in those days, it was for literacy and numeracy. Nowadays, you're lucky if it's literacy and numeracy. But anyway, that aside, what happens is you get a number, and that number hopefully totals a number that is perfectly divided by 25, because if you're one of those lucky schools that gets a SET allocation which divides nicely by 25, you don't have to do anything. You can sit back and watch the mess unfold. However, if you don't, in the very likely event, if you are one of the 90% of schools that gets a fraction of that, what you have to do is you have to find another school to get married to, or another couple of schools, or another 3 schools to get married to, in order to make a 25-hour cluster. And the thing is, nobody does that for you. You have to do that all by yourself. And you don't get anything except the list of schools from the Department of Education. So you have to look down the list, and you have to find a school that you think is near you, and see if they add up to 25 hours with you, and ring them, hope they answer the phone, and hope they haven't married someone else. And the thing is, every single principal in the country is doing this all at the same time. And it's incredibly stressful. And effectively, if this comes out, no matter what time this comes out, you can forget seeing your principal for the rest of the day or for the rest of the next few days as they scurry around trying to find somebody or some people to come up with a cluster. And why do they scurry? The scurrying happens because the big stick on this is, if you have a teacher that you want to keep in your school, in a permanent job in your school, and the SET allocations comes out, and you only have a bit of that post, you want to be the base school. So this is where the problems start happening even more so than just scurrying around, and this is where things get very stressful. So for example, if I had 7.5 teachers, I really want to get another half a teacher to keep the half teacher in my school and be base school. Because if I don't, that teacher, now while they don't lose their job, they go on the panel. Most teachers don't like to leave their schools, which for understandable reasons. But what happens is they end up, you lose the job. And this is very stressful for principals, because in a way what they're doing is they're trying to keep one of their staff with them, because most likely that teacher doesn't want to leave their school, otherwise they wouldn't be there, unless you're very lucky. Anyway, that's the context. And what happens in reality, what should happen in reality, well actually there's a few things that should happen, but what should happen in reality is that schools in particular areas should get together, they should have a meeting, they should look at the hours together, and they should try and match up to make sure that things are well. That doesn't happen, of course, and you have neighbouring schools not clustering together, for example, because the principal just goes rogue, and in fact everybody goes rogue, because everyone really just wants to sort themselves out, and you don't blame them. Again, I can totally understand why that happens. What should happen is that basically the Department of Education should do the clusters. We are now living in an age of AI where you can basically put all those numbers into a generator and come up with clusters. That's one way that could happen, and you're just given your cluster, and then no one's to blame, no one's trying to fight for their teacher, no one's trying to do anything. That would be the most sensible thing to do. Or even more sensibly, stop giving fractions of jobs. Just round the jobs up to the nearest post. So there's no cluster games whatsoever. These are things that should happen. And these are things that if we had good advocacy groups out there, or representatives, very good advocacy groups, if we had representatives that actually did care about us really, and they talk about our well-being and our sustainability and all the rest of it. If they really cared, well, that's exactly what they would be fighting for, but they aren't, and they won't, and don't think they're going to. You are on your own, as Norma Foley said, out of context, once upon a time. So, my advice to you. I'll give you some advice. Basically, the first thing you need to do is realise that this is a deeply unpleasant time. This is a time where you may find yourself really alone in your job, because the school that you have been partnering with for the last, I don't know, year, 2 years, 5 years, the principal may have gone off and found a new partner and dumped you without telling you. And that's really upsetting. That is kind of like a breakdown of a relationship, and you have to accept this is what it is. It is dog eat dog. We call it the cluster games because that's exactly what it's like. It is just basically the Hunger Games lived out by principals. So we have to accept, in a way, as awful as it is to say, is that we do ourselves no favours as principals in terms of this end of things. We are just, we play it. We play the game. We allow ourselves to play the game, and when we play the game like this, and this happened with the SET allocations, when we play the game, some schools win, some schools lose, and 50% of the time you will be on the losing team. And it is what it is, and I don't know. I've been campaigning on this for since it's happened, and I've talked to the representative bodies, I've talked to the principals, and ultimately the majority of people completely agree that this is crazy, it's absolutely awful. But then you have the small minority, or you have the minority of people who go, no, I like to, find my own school, or, it's grand, this kind of stuff. We're good boys, we're good girls, that kind of stuff. So just accept it. I think the first thing you have to do is either accept it or fight it. And because no one's fighting it, then you have to accept it, essentially. And no one's fighting for you. We've had this for... This might be the 5th or 6th round of these SET allocations, and I haven't seen a peep from any of the representatives. So just accept it. That's my advice to you. Number one. Number two is use. What will happen is most of your colleagues are going to not wait around. So as soon as they come out, get the list, find your preferred partner, and just get them. I mean, it's not exactly what I want to say, but that's what you're going to have to do. What's going to happen then, in a few hours probably after the SET allocations are released, is you're going to have apps out there, 2 apps. One from a guy called Paul, who has made a SET cluster finder, which he and I made a few years ago, and the intention being that you would it would find clusters for you very easily, and it worked in the main for most people. But the problem again is you have the rogue principals who just don't play ball, and so it works to a point, but unfortunately, unless people buy into it, it doesn't work. But it's a really good start. It shows you who your perfect clusters are. And I just made an app this week, which you're more than welcome to use. Again, it'll be a couple of hours maybe before I get to update it. It has the 2025-2026 allocations at the moment. So we're going to have to, I'll update that as soon as the clusters come out, hopefully. And we'll kind of go from there and basically use those apps, which will narrow down who your nearest schools are. And that might help you if you're stuck. The next thing, piece of advice, is if you don't get a partner by the end of the day, look, it's a short game, but it's a long enough game. You will find a partner, and even if you don't worry. Just write to the Department of Education, write down the schools on the form that you tried to get in touch with, and then it's up to them to find you a partner. If you're just stuck, the Department of Education have to find you a partner, and if they can't find you a partner, those hours will become part-time hours. And don't worry, you can only do your best. You can only do your best when it comes to that. Teacher you might be trying to save, as people say they're doing, whether they're saving or not. This is the only thing I'd say. You can't do much about it, so just accept it that you will get something. It's not that you'll lose all your hours or anything like that. I mean, I think maybe there's perception that might happen. Your hours could become part-time hours, or the Department of Education might find the hours for you. So, I mean, there's 3 bits of advice. I'm sure there's 100 pieces of advice. I'm doing this off the top of my head as I walk my dog here. Look, the last thing I'll say to you, I guess, is to wish you well. It's just not nice today. It's a day everybody dreads. There's a lot of things I wish would happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'll share bits and pieces on these stories throughout the day if I can. Because we also have to do our jobs. That's the other side of it too. We also have to do our jobs as principals today, and anything can happen at any one time. And today's likely the day where a pipe will burst, or something else will go wrong. It is what. I can't really think of any other advice to give you, because there isn't really advice to give. By looking after yourself, because that's all you can really do. I personally, oh yes, one more piece of advice, and I'm just going to say this to you. One more piece of advice is, if you're ringing a school looking for cluster hours, be nice. Do you know what? I mean, that's just a piece of personal advice. I remember, and I remember this, a principal ringing me hello, how are you? Oh, hi, how's it going? Do you have, have you got hours? So it was a question. I'm looking for whatever hours. I was like, oh God, I'm sorry, I'm looked after. She hung up. She didn't even say, oh, thank you or whatever. Be nice. I remember who that principal was. No way am I going to ever deal with that principal again. Anyway, just manners. Just remember our manners. This is stressful, but remember our manners. Anyway, that's me lecturing. Anyway, look, you have a great day if you can, and let the games begin. Best of luck. Bye bye.